In 1973, ABC showed a TV movie about a test pilot who crashed an experimental vehicle, lost 2 legs, an arm, and an eye in the accident, and had to have aggressive implantation surgery to graft cybernetic prosthetic limbs onto him. Now, they did this virtually bloodlessly, and the film was such a big hit that they actually made a TV series out of it. That same film, viewed today, would be considered kind of lame and boring by comparison to what else we have. Times change, and we still have plenty of safe television out there for squeamish people and kids under 18. Personally, I don't think any type of dramatic excursion should ever be verboten on television, especially when those shows go out of their way to post advisory notices about their content. Still, we have a whole bunch of whiny, self-obsessed special snowflakes who want all so-called adult programming banned unilaterally. You know what I say to them? Here's your fucking rant show, folks. Greetings and welcome to That Damn Rant Show, filmed before an undead studio audience. I'm your host, E. Adam Thomas, and this episode is going to deal with stuff like this.
It's not a moment in the sun, and it's only just begun. It's time to have a little fun. Everybody come and see why you should be on.
Uh-oh. Here comes pizza. A little warning would have been nice. Oh, right. Sorry. See where I'm going with this? Anytime some turd burger flips their lid over something on a show that carries a parental advisory disclaimer 3 or 4 times during any individual episodic broadcast, their own damn intellectual integrity is called into serious question. People have been screaming, "What about the children?" longer than it's been considered inappropriate to use them as cheap labor in coal mines and factories, which, by the way, has been less than 100 years, in case you're curious. Now, I could go on an hour-long rampage about the fact that people don't bother to read anything in general, such as advisory warnings on electrical appliances and insecticides, but for Christ's sakes, The Walking Dead warns you 3 times throughout the broadcast. 3 times! For most other shows, they only do it once, like at the very beginning of a show like Law and Order or CSI, or even that idiotic Honey Boo Boo show that had content and language warnings, but only at the very beginning of the show. If you tuned in late and saw a cadaver splayed open on an autopsy table with Andrew Zimmern dipping gooey duck in the entrails for a special SVU Bizarre Foods crossover episode, it's just too bad for you. This is symptomatic of the whole ignorant, delicate snowflake mentality in this country. Despite the fact that we pride ourselves on being the land of the free, we have some of the most restrictive censorship laws regarding content of any first world nation. Hell, in the 1970s, they were showing boobs on Monty Python's Flying Circus. In the 1970s! I was 5. Even here on YouTube, they can restrict your content for monetization if you say the word fuck on your show. Oops, sorry. If you don't want your kids to see sex or violence, that's fine. But it is your responsibility to monitor what they watch. If you don't want to see graphic or explicit content, then do your own self-policing. It's not anybody else's responsibility to protect you or your kids from stuff you find objectionable. Producers of shows like Breaking Bad, Law and Order SVU, and The Walking Dead have gone have all done their due diligence by putting very specific notifications on their programs indicating what type of content their presentations contain, and advising you that if you don't want to see that kind of thing, or you don't want your kids to see it, it's time to change the fucking channel, dumbass! Hell, I even have a disclaimer on my show because I don't want anybody to watch it if they're going to be upset by it. Well, for the most part anyway. I don't do this show to hurt people. I do it to entertain. I don't know if I'm actually succeeding. But then I get more compliments than complaints, so I must be doing something right, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, there is a huge contingent of idiots out there that think that they have the right to dictate to others what kind of music, movies, or TV series they should be allowed to entertain themselves with. And it's not just religious fanatics. There seems to be this weird hardwire in the human brain that makes each of us think we know what's best for everybody else. Many of us have the ability to dismiss this impulse, though, and realize that we're all different and we all have a right to our opinions. It's the arrogant asshats that are convinced that they themselves are right and everybody else is wrong that cause all the hand-wringing and sphincter tightening. Because they're the loud ones. They're the ones that raise the biggest stinks. They stamp their feet, they write their congressmen, and they post their tirades on social media about how such and such is wrong and should be abolished for the greater good. They cannot get it through their thick, egotistical skulls that their right to swing their fist ends before it connects with another person's nose. The problem is, there's also a very large contingent of people too damn timid and pathetic to stand up for themselves and tell those ignorant pinheads to shut their stinking, wriggling pie holes. The loud ones and the timid ones, screwing everything up for the rest of us. And here's the kicker. They're also the lazy ones that expect everybody else to do the work of protecting them from so-called explicit content. It's easier to enact something like the Hays Code or some other censorship legislation than it is to learn about the content and decide for yourself whether it is something that would make you uncomfortable or not. You'd think that the idea of a TV show about zombies where there's an extraordinarily high probability of seeing people getting ripped apart rather messily on a weekly basis would be, by its very premise, something that people who are squeamish about such things would be intelligent enough to avoid. Apparently not. So, what's the big answer? Change what we used to ignite that. Whew. We need to stop listening to the screamers and the whiners. We allow the bigots and the namby-pambies a forum because it's free speech, but we are not required by some imaginary moral imperative to acquiesce to their demands. It's the same for pretty much all facets of society, folks. Your being a Christian, or a vegan, or a dog lover, or a fan of low-budget, badly dubbed martial arts films does not in any way obligate me to become one, just because you can scream louder than I can. And boy, can I scream sometimes. If you don't want to be exposed to explicit content, don't expose yourself to explicit content, you fucking moron! It's as simple as that. If a show you're about to watch has one of these on it, then don't watch it. Just don't. Turn on a different channel. Fire up Hulu or Netflix. Take up needlepoint. Open a book. But don't expect me not to be able to watch it just because you find it objectionable. Put yourself in this position, okay? You walk into a McDonald's and you want a Big Mac with extra pickles. The ass nugget in line ahead of you hates pickles, but instead of just ordering his burger without pickles, he forces the manager of the restaurant to remove and destroy every single pickle or remnant thereof from the entire fucking restaurant. If you don't want pickles, don't eat pickles. Simple as that. If anything I have said today offended you or upset you in some way, good. If you agree with everything I said, awesome. Either way, Let me know by commenting on this video, looking up That Damn Rant Show or Film Rants on Facebook, emailing me at boratom@gmail.com, finding me on Twitter, send up some smoke signals, I don't care, whatever. I really want to hear from you, especially if I pissed you off. And don't forget to tune in to our next episode. Unless, of course, you don't want to, because, you know, I curse and shit. Good night. Angry Men Reviews. Many fucks said, no fucks given.
The dirty